Ed Helsinki has a great question. Get out your crystal ball. Get out your Ouija board. You ever play Ouija? You're too young for that, Jack. Move the thing around the Ouija board. What will Michigan's 2025 record be? Year 2 for Sherrone Moore. I want to start off today's show asking you guys to let me know your thoughts, because I've seen a lot of 12-0s, 11-1s, all the way down to 6-6, 7-5s from Michigan fans. We filter out the haters, Ohio State fans. We filter out the losers, Michigan State fans, and the irrelevant Notre Dame fans always. So I know if you're a Michigan fan just by your vibe when you reply. So get down there in the comments and predict Jack and my predictions coming shortly. It's the Michigan Football Report. Let's get the show rolling right now. So over the last week or so, a lot of game times have started coming out. And the funniest thing about me, I actually I don't want to take too many shots at other fan bases, but how about this? I won't take any shots at any fan bases, Jack. But if I did, I would say that I find it comical that Ohio State fans have been thinking, there's no way they're going to make the Texas game not a night game. Of course it'll be a night game. Fox has it. Fox gets first choice. They're going to take that game. They get first two choices: Ohio State, Michigan, Texas, of course, because it's got to be home games. Ohio State, Texas. Of course, it was going to be a big noon game. What do you think? They weren't going to take the game, or they were going to, change it now? And I knew. We saw at the end there was some talk, okay, it's a holiday weekend. We can move it to Sunday night to give it its own feature night, and that would kind of get by the whole thing where Fox can't put a game on Saturday Night Football. NBC and the Big Ten Network owns those rights. So I thought that was a little silly. But nevertheless, a bunch of times they have come out. So just look at the schedule. It's New Mexico, Oklahoma, Central Michigan, Nebraska. You get the bye week to end September. So, first 7 weeks, 6 games this season, right? You've got 3 potentially losable games, maybe even 4, right? Oklahoma, Nebraska. Of course, Wisconsin, and you have, who did I miss? Wisconsin, USC, right, in that schedule. So you get into November, you got Purdue, you got that second bye, Northwestern at Wrigley Field. I'd like to go to that game. We'll see if I can. At Maryland, in my opinion, in major college football, at Maryland is only the very bottom of watching a college football game, only second to the bottom to Stanford and Cal, who I think are the worst venues in all of college football to watch a game. So here are the game times we now know. That first game, and this has been a lot, several years. Over the last 5-6 seasons, Michigan has started night games at home, quite a few of them, right? Maybe even 5 out of the last 6 or something like that. Night game on NBC against New Mexico, so we'll see what comes of that game. And then it's another night game at Oklahoma. I'm super excited for that one. Central Michigan coming back to Ann Arbor at noon at Big Ten Network. CBS, 3:30 Eastern game at Nebraska. And then you've got either noon, so it'd be noon, big noon kickoff, or an NBC game on October 4th when Michigan hosts Wisconsin. So this is no surprise to anybody. The game is officially announced, right? So when Fox gets the first 2 choices, it's always Ohio State, Michigan, and typically either Michigan, Penn State, Michigan, Ohio State, or one of those teams has a big marquee game out of conference. This shouldn't be surprising to anyone now, but for some reason, the Ohio State fan bases, it was surprising to them. So let's take a gander, Jack. Let's just kind of think of the schedule, look at these game times, look what it means, and let's give the people our score, our game predictions. All right. I think in those first 6 games, whether it is Oklahoma, Nebraska, USC on the road, and then so you got 3 road games against 3 of the Blue Bloods, right? That USC games on the road as well. So 3 road games against Blue Bloods that have been down, right? Oklahoma the last 3 years, 2-3 years. USC kind of really for the last decade for the most part, maybe 15 years outside of a couple spots here and there. And then, Nebraska's really been for the last 20 years with a year here and there, but for the most part have been down. But still, Blue Bloods, nevertheless. I think Michigan drops one of those games on the road to those teams, and it could be 2, right? And I think Michigan's going to beat Ohio State again. That's there. But I think this is also a team with a freshman quarterback that could drop another one throughout there, whether it's 2 games early. Right? This is a team that could be 4-2 after 6 games and then go on a run with Bryce Underwood getting his feet on him there. So I'm sticking at 10-2 regular season. And I think that gets Michigan in the Big Ten championship game. I think they beat Ohio State. They win a tiebreaker against them, Jack. And if Oklahoma's one of those losses, that's out of conference. What do you got?
Yeah, I'm going to go 10-2 as well. I think they drop Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. Second game of the season. If it's Underwood, that's a big environment for him. So I'm just going to give Oklahoma the benefit of the doubt. And then I'm also going to have them drop USC. Going out west, that's a tough game. Doesn't matter how good USC is. I mean, they are USC, so they might find a way. I do think they beat Ohio State again because Ohio State's a bunch of bums.
Because Bosa,
of course. And so, yeah, I'm going 10-2 as well.
Nice. So comment yours below, 10-2. And USC's the one because we don't know what they've got coming back in a lot of ways. Quarterback is still uncertain. They've got some transfers. They've got some young guys. And, Lincoln Riley's still a good coach, hasn't done as well. But Michigan over the years, we saw it last year with Washington. It's like this kryptonite, Jack, and that's why the Rose Bowl against Alabama was like, well, they don't play a West Coast team. Maybe that was the difference. Like they've gone out and played UCLA. They've gone out to Rose Bowls where they should have won against various amount of teams. They have gone out to Oregon back in 2003, I think it was, and gone to Washington and gone. They always lose these West Coast games. A lot of them in those late 90s, early 2000s, where they scheduled a bunch of Pac-12 games. They always seem to win the one at home, lose one on the road. So I still have scar tissue from that, and that's what gives me pause about that USC game. We told you about our last show on Friday about our friend Eric on Twitter. It's Kinetic615. Help a Wolverine in need. Eric's been taking care of his mother, and then he himself has run into some serious health issues and needs the Wolverine Nation to come together to help him get through a tough time. I've interacted with him for quite a while on Twitter. I know he's a good guy. I can speak to his character, and I myself have donated. So there's the link on the screen of toss that back when you get a chance, Jack. But it's also down in the description of today's video. So if you go to just below the video, expand the description, see the entire thing. At the end of the first paragraph, you will see a link. I also linked Eric's Twitter account at Kinetic615. So click on the link if you can. Don't give anything you can't contribute. But if you are in a place where you can contribute $5, $10, $50, Eric's family and his mother and himself would really appreciate it. Help them get through a tough time. Kinetic615 is his Twitter account, and that's GoFund.me is a short link, 9C325F29. That link is down below. Hope, wishing you the best, Eric, and doing what we can to try and spread the word a little bit to get some help for you. Doobie Howser. It's kind of like Doogie Howser, Jack. You too young for Doogie Howser? You know what that is? Doogie Howser was a show in the 90s about a boy genius who goes to medical school and becomes a doctor, played by the guy from How I Met Your Mother, whose name I'm forgetting, whatever his name is, Neil Patrick Harris, right? And that is. So let's read this question really quick from Doobie Howser. What does it say? Will Bryce stay when the ban hits? So this is clearly you said this is an Ohio State fan that's in our comments a lot. We should ban them. Nevertheless, let me ask this question in a second, but do want to remind you guys, it always helps us if you subscribe to the Michigan Football Report. YouTube.com/Michigan TV is the link, so you can come back if you don't subscribe. But subscribing puts you in our feed, helps you get more of what we put out, whether it's YouTube Shorts, whether it's posts on our community tab, showing up in your YouTube feed, and helps us grow the audience, get more resources to put together more shows during the 2025 Michigan football season. Click that subscribe button. Join us. Almost coming up on 35,000 subscribers. Look, I'm going to be honest. If the hammer hits, right, if there's future penalties, right, let's say it comes back in August that Sherrone Moore is suspended 4 games, 5 games, 6 games, 2 games, whatever it is. Michigan is vacating wins from the past, right? Maybe it's the whole entire 2022 season they're going to vacate. Okay. But I don't think that will hurt him, right? Even if Sherrone's suspended for 4, 5, or 6 games, I don't think that's going to have Bryce Underwood running for the hills. But if Michigan loses future postseason bans, if they say you can't participate in the Big Ten championship game, even if you're undefeated, if you can't participate in the College Football Playoff this year, or even for 2 years, your sophomore year, I wouldn't blame him, right? I'm not sure if his NIL deal require him to stay at Michigan if he signed like you cannot transfer under any circumstances, or if he's taking money like, when they have a book signing, if you're writing a book, and sometimes if you're big enough, they'll give you like a $500,000 or $200,000 advance to kind of pay for your expenses in advance of the sales that, will come out of that. If that's happened, maybe he's got to stay, but if not, and he's just like on a year-to-year deal, if Michigan gets hit with the postseason ban, even this year, Jack, if he gets hit with the postseason ban in August, a month before the first game, August 1st, let's say, if I was Bryce Underwood, if possible, right, I'm guessing there's some sort of NCAA loophole, I would look around and say, hey, who needs a 1-year rental quarterback? I'll go play for somebody for this season and then reassess after the year, maybe stay with you, maybe transfer somewhere else, right? That's just being honest. He has generational money for me. If Bryce Underwood is as good as people expect him, right, maybe the most hyped recruit we have seen in high school football history, and I don't think that's hyperbole to say that. If he is as good and if he develops to where he could be the number 1 pick in the NFL draft in 3 years from now, you are looking at the way contracts go. And if he exceeds and sells in the NFL, and he's the next Patrick Mahomes or whoever you want to describe him at, and he goes into the NFL and wins it, This is a $1 billion risk for him, right? If he is a 15-year NFL quarterback starter, he will make $1 billion or more. Starters are getting $50 and $60 million. Yeah, multiply that by 15, and he wouldn't be in the NFL for 3 or 4 years from now. 15 years, that's 20 years from now. Guys will definitely be making $100 million a year if you were a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. So I would not stick around if Michigan gets postseason bans and could do anything to dampen his legacy, his ability to play, and his ability to make money in the future. Harbaugh derangement syndrome is something I want to talk about because it is getting to the point where I think there are certain accounts, and I'm not going to say them because a couple of them are friends of mine, internet friends. I talk to them on the phone every once in a while. I've met a couple of them in person at certain different games. So I got to sneeze for a second here, Jack. Buckeye Scoop. Excuse me. Justin Spiro. Dylan over there. Zach Smith. Oh, sorry. I apologize. And others. You know who you are, right? Mr. Ohio. You know who you are, Johnny Bullets. You know who you are. A couple other ones, Brutus Buckeye, what's the guy's name? I can't remember. You guys know who I'm talking about. You know who you are, right? You're thinking about Harbaugh all the time. You got Harbaugh on your mind. You got Harbaugh derangement syndrome. Whatever Harbaugh says, the opposite's true. Whatever Harbaugh doesn't do, the opposite's the way to do it, okay? These people are obsessed. And I saw this guy, Barstool Tate, is probably one of the least attractive people I've ever seen that's put their face on camera on the internet that has a job to make content. Taylor Lewan shot back at him this morning because he was trying to take shots at Lewan. I don't know if you saw Lewan threw a bad first pitch. And Lewan came back and said, I won't even reply to this, is beneath me, and I'm not going to be told to keep my chin up by someone who has no chin. Because the guy's kind of got one of these, going on, whatever. So these people are like, enjoy your championship, your 2-loss Citrus Bowl representative style championship where you didn't beat the SEC champion, you didn't beat your rival, you didn't win the Big Ten, you came in 4th in your own conference, you got lucky. Enjoy it, okay? Because it's not going to happen again, that's for sure. Enjoy it, okay? Will Ohio State fans, what's that, Jack? The hammer's not coming. Will Ohio State fans ever stop obsessing over Michigan, ever stop obsessing over Harbaugh, ever stop obsessing over Stalions? The 2021 to 2020 season broke their brains. Comment no or hell no that they will never stop obsessing over Michigan football, especially the Jim Harbaugh years. Klein Davis coming in with a question. He says, who will be Michigan's star offensive lineman this season? All right, it's actually a pretty interesting question because there's no real candidate that comes to mind off the top of anyone's head, and that's why I think it's a really smart question. So just take a look at my depth chart coming out of spring practice, and this could obviously change by the time the season comes around. Andrew Sprague is a known commodity. Greg Crippen's been around, finally getting into the starting lineup. Evan Link, I think it's the weak link, was the worst offensive lineman last year. Giovanni El Hadi, multiple years he's started some games, been replaced in the offensive lineman rotation, got back in, so he's been around for a few years. But there's one name, if you look right under Andrew Sprague, A. Babaloa. I think that's who it's going to be, right? Whether it's game 1 or game 7, I just think, if you look back to the spring game, right, who was the number 1 pick was a true freshman who should have still been in high school. And that was Andrew Babaloa, top 10 player in the country coming out, one of Michigan's best offensive linemen they've got in years. That's who my pick is going to be by the end of the season when Michigan wins the national championship or other. I think Andrew Babaloa will be the best offensive lineman on this team, and I think he's going to be the kind of guy in 2026 and 27, all-conference, all-American, top 15 pick in the NFL draft after 3 years. That's kind of just what I'm thinking about this 5-star offensive lineman for Michigan. Now, another 5-star product I just want to tell you guys is the sponsor of the Michigan Football Report, and that is Factor. They're continuing to sponsor this show. Make this season, this lovely summer season, the best yet with nutritious 2-minute meals from Factor. Eating well has never been this easy. You just heat up and enjoy, giving you more time to do what you want. Get out of the kitchen, right? Don't be sitting there spending 2 hours on a lovely summer night prepping yourself meal, making these meals for you, your family. Get outside instead of prepping and cooking indoors. Factor meals arrive fresh and ready to eat, perfect for any active lifestyle. With 45 weekly menu options, you can pick gourmet meals that fit your goals like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, Keto, and more. Factor powers your day with satisfying breakfast, on-the-go lunches, premium dinners, and guilt-free snacks and desserts. It's easy to savor more this spring. Factor meals pack in the flavor with none of the fuss. I eat Factor. Jack eats Factor. I recommend it. Give it my full endorsement, and you can get 50% off and free shipping if you use that link at the bottom of the screen. It's also in the comments and the description. Just click on it, factormeals.com/MichiganChat50 off. Use that code MichiganChat50 off for 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. factormeals.com/MichiganChat50 off. Use that code MichiganChat50 off. Dude Guy, original name. Dude Guy, is Ohio State overrated? I don't know. I mean, I'll give Ohio State credit, right? In life, you've got to have, people have enemies, whether it's enemies in reality, like a neighbor you don't like, maybe a rival at your workplace, or it's enemies that you just have a gripe with, right? So it's the Ohio State football program is one of my enemies, right? Their success has, given me pain over the years, right? Their failures have given me joys. The win over them are some of the most important and exciting days of my life. Some of the losses, like 2016 and 2018, are some of the most just gut punches of my life. So I will give them credit. Ohio State is the most consistent program in college football over the last 50 or 60 years. They almost never have a down year. When they do, they had a couple in the 80s, but really since about 1995, let's say 93, it was that like last year with John Cooper where things kind of fell apart and they went 6-6. I think it was in 2000, maybe 99, 2000. They had back-to-back bad years. Cooper gets fired after a really strong run, couldn't beat Michigan. And then Jim Tressel didn't have a single down year other than 2004 when they started 4-4. And then 1-4 straight at the end of the season, beat Michigan, a Michigan team that should absolutely have crushed them. And then it was on, every year it was, 11-1, 12-1, 11-1, 13-2, etc. And since then, really, the year between Tressel and Urban, they had the 6-7 year with Luke Fickell as the interim coach and had a freshman quarterback because Terrell Pryor couldn't play. They are consistent. So I don't think they're overrated. I think no matter what happens, unless Ohio State changes something, they fall off. If Ryan Day is their head coach, they are consistently going to be a top 5, top 8 program at worst. I think they'll make the playoffs nearly every year. He has been able to take a quarterback, plug him in, go 11-1, go 12-2, whatever it is, no matter if it's Justin Fields or C.J. Stroud or Kyle McCord or the backup quarterback from Kansas State, Will Howard. Now it's Julian Sayin, the Alabama transfer 5-star that's going to be in there. So overrated, no. Are they number 1 team in the country? No. So they start number 1, slightly overrated. I do think they'll lose at home against Texas to start that year, but that could be their only loss. If they win it, they could be undefeated in the top 1 or 2 coming into Ann Arbor for that Michigan game. So overrated, no. Should be favored for the national championship, also no. Jack Lalaurie, our own young Harbaugh. He says, thoughts on Michigan landing Davon Benjamin, a top 5 quarterback/safety in the 2026 class, and Savion Hyder, the number 1 running back in the class. So Benjamin, I think he's going to end up at Oregon. So he'll probably say no, even though he's showing Michigan some love. So I'm going to put it out there, Jack. Benjamin, I think he's going to end up at Oregon. How about Hyder, okay? Has got his long time. It's been out there for quite a few weeks. Michigan, Tennessee, Georgia, and Ohio State as his top 4 schools. So now Josh Newberg, one of the recruiting insiders was On3. Is he right? On3? I believe he's On3. Michigan and Tennessee, that's who I'm watching. Steve Wilfong says, despite a visit to Ohio State, there's 2 teams, number 1 for running back Savion Hyder. All right. So Michigan's next running back, it's going to be between, it's Ohio, Michigan, Tennessee, whoever it is there. It's top 2 teams. And he was quoting there his colleague, Steve Wilfong. Now, I think Hyder thought that was a quote from himself when then he quote tweeted and put this out. Where does this stuff come from? I have done 0 interviews. So I think the misconception between Hyder and that other tweet was that guy was putting out a quote from his coworker and Hyder took it as a quote from him, as I haven't done no interviews. But nevertheless, he did say, where does this stuff come from? So I will put a little credibility into the fact that, maybe Hyder has it limited to his 2 teams with Michigan and was it Tennessee, right? Was the other one there? But I do think Michigan's going to land him. I think that if I was a running back right now, after seeing what we saw from 2021 with Son Haskins, Blake Corum, to Blake and Diamond Edwards for 2 years, to Diamond Edwards, it didn't turn out as great, but still had some good games, but taking a linebacker and making him a really strong running back in Kalel Mullings, I would be wanting to play running back for Sherrone Moore's team. I would want to be in that offense, and I think Hyder will. But there's something that we got to talk about here. And Jack, I didn't prep you for this, so you may laugh. You may cry. You may say James inappropriate. Say James, he's just a high school boy. But he's got parents, right? Can you agree that Hyder's got parents? Can you agree he has grandparents? Can we change the last name? It just looks like Hitler to me. Every time I see it, it looks like Hitler. And every time I see people say, oh, he's training towards Michigan, you get a bunch of people on Twitter creating grok images of like a Michigan football player with a Hitler mask doing the Heil Hitler sign, or Sherrone Moore with the Hitler, not mask, mustache. And it just looks like Hitler. It's like when you have a last name, I'm sorry, I'm just going to be clear here. If your last name is this, I apologize. I just have to say, if your last name's something like Gay, right? Just change it. You're putting your kids, they're going to get teased and get made fun of, right? What's the point? Just change the last name, right? Just change the last name. Hider, right? Add a double T, 2 T's. Make it Hitter, okay? Make it Hitster. Make it Hitmaker. Make something. But Hider, it just looks like Hitler to me every time I see it. And I don't know if I want to see that in the back of Michigan jersey. I would recommend changing your name. I'm sorry I had to say it. Someone had to say it. I'm the one who's going to say the things, the uncomfortable truth. Change your name. If you enjoyed that, if you laugh like I do, if you find humor and want a little bit of a different style of Michigan football content, make sure you subscribe, youtube.com/Michigan TV. We are getting close to 35,000 subscribers. Mr. and Mrs. Zachary coming in with a question. What do you think Bryce Underwood's rating will be in college football 26? So I looked back, and let's just take a look at this before I give my thoughts here. If you guys didn't see this a week or so ago, the cover. So this is like the deluxe edition, and you had Bryce Underwood. You've got the two best players probably in college football on the offensive side coming back in Ryan Williams from Alabama and J.J. Jeremiah Smith from Ohio State. Fun fact, both those guys lost to Michigan. They got winked, and I think they combined for like 45 yards receiving, Jack. They were both healthy, right? So if that's your cover, and I made a great joke on Twitter that people really enjoyed. I'm like, what's the name of this game? Losing to Michigan, getting completely shut down by EA Sports. Is that the name of the game with those two guys on the cover? I also find it peculiar. You've got Denard Robinson, a former cover boy himself, looking like he's kind of like leaning back in a Cadillac, like just like chilling on a Cadillac. He's like leaning back. Yeah, so that's a weird one. And given the fact that he got unceremoniously fired from Michigan for DUI that showed him passed out in a car, I think that's a kind of a maybe EA Sports should have made different decisions, but nevertheless, coaches in the game, right? So this is pretty cool. I'm not sure how it's going to shake out, but Sherrone Moore is one of a few dozen coaches that are actually in the game. His actual name, his actual face, etc. And both Michigan's offensive and defensive coordinators, Chip Lindsey and Wink Martindale. But it's not every coach, Jack. Bill Belichick is not in this game at all, right? So you're going to see a North Carolina generic. What?
Well, yeah, Belichick's never in the game.
Yeah, and Deion's not in the game either, right? So it's not every coach, and maybe those guys wanted more money, but I still think it's kind of weird, right?
I know there are coaches I know there are coaches with like Madden and stuff. Like I don't think Tomlin is in Madden. Like there are coaches that are just like I don't want to be in the game. Belichick was never in Madden. I know that there's like 200, 300 coaches, but yeah, I mean, you don't have to be in the game.
Doesn't it feel like you'd want to like have it as a recruiting tool? Like, oh, get in there and play me, see my offense or whatever like that. So I'm not sure if it's a money thing or if they just picked, 40 of the top coaches and they didn't think that Deion and North Carolina and Belichick would be in that top range this year, but we'll see. So you got both quarters. I haven't, look at the specifics, but I'm guessing maybe like if you play Michigan like the dynasty mode and Chip Lindsey has a great year of offense, maybe you can play him and take him and he's going to become the head coach at Illinois or something like that. I'm not sure if that's why the coordinators are in the game or if they're just in the game to be another face. For the version, yeah, for sure. Here's my take though on Bryce Underwood. I would guess because what we said on I think it was Friday's video of how he is the most ready freshman in college football history, in my opinion, because of the high school and coming in and taking all the number one snaps. I think EA Sports is going to recognize that and maybe make him first freshman cover boy of all time on the deluxe edition and make sure that his rating is equivalent to the hype and the preparedness that he has. I'm putting him as an 87 or 88, where typically five-star true freshmen are in the 82, 83 to 45 range. I've seen as high as 85. I look back, Julian Sain, right? Five-star Ohio State quarterback, like the third or fourth best quarterback in the last class. He was an 80 last year, so this would be a big jump. But I do think 86, 87, maybe even 88 could be there for Bryce Underwood. What do you guys say, Jack? Anything?
Well, I think he should be rated 1,000.
Yeah.
If that's even a thing. People are telling me, I don't know if you've heard this, people are telling me that he is the greatest quarterback in the history of football,
okay.
which I believe.
Sources?
Okay. They're telling me that no one has ever seen a quarterback prospect like this ever.
Okay.
Which I agree with.
I trust your sources.
So I think he should be rated 1,000. I think it's only right to be the first ever player rated 1,000.
Could he be the Michael Vick from Madden of college football? It's like, you can't play with Michigan.
Well, I don't know if you saw the trailer, but he broke out of a tackle, turned around, threw a dot.
Yeah,
like,
threw it out there.
Like, And he hasn't played a game in college
Looks
yet.
like Patrick Mahomes, honestly, in a Michigan uniform.
So, obviously, he should be rated 1,000. That's just my take. But maybe I'm
Probably
crazy.
won't, but maybe next year.
Well, if it's not, it's collusion, but that's okay.
I agree with that. So I'm saying I'm going to be a little. I'm going to say 87, maybe 86, maybe 88, but 87 maybe. So 86 and 87 I'll say. Even though I said 87, 88 in there, I'll say 86, 87 is the most likely. 88 if you want to get wild. Let me know what you guys think. What should Bryce Underwood? 0 to 100. Typically, true freshman quarterbacks have ranged from 80 to like 84, 85 in last year. And if you go back like 15, 20 years when the game was played heavily in before the 10-year, 12-year ban on it. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, youtube.com/Michigan TV. We'll be back with more videos next week. We'll talk about the NCAA meeting and everything that happened on Friday and more. What to look forward to in June for recruiting. Till then, go Blue.